Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Just Weeby. We're going to go ahead and get into some sane people. So these are some TikTok videos and others. I'm going to go ahead and view them, leave a little bit of commentary here and there. For those actually interested in travel, please go over to the travel channel, Ready Set Travel. For those actually interested in gaming, go over to our gaming channel, Weeby Games. Here we're just kind of commentating on everything and almost anything, but right now it's mainly political. So yes, there's a lot of stuff happening and I have to agree with a lot of it, but anyway, we're going to go ahead and get into these videos here. For those that want to comment, please go ahead and leave your comments in the comment section down below, and I will take a look at them and try to respond here and there. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into these. Okay, so we'll try this here again. I think I failed to click the record button and I was halfway through this session, at least with her. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the videos here, dealing with some people that's got the right thought of mind. And my rant while ago, and I'll try to re-rant on it. I'll try to line it up with what she says. So listen closely.
I don't think people from immigrant backgrounds are talking about this enough, so I will. You think that I deserve, or these people deserve my compassion as somebody whose parents came here legally, set up this life for us legally? Like, you think I need to show compassion for somebody cutting corners? It's like me studying for a test and getting 100, and then somebody cheating and getting 100. I'm supposed to celebrate for them in the exact same way when I put in effort and they didn't, and they cut every corner. Do you think that makes sense? Are you out of your freaking mind?
Yes, they are out of their freaking mind. What I was saying earlier, and I forgot to hit the record button. I thought I was recording and I wasn't, so sorry about that. But anyway, my wife is Filipino and she came in legally. We had to do all the paperwork legally. She filed all that herself. So yes, you can actually do that and actually cut the cost of coming in, but you could also do the lawyer route. It's a little bit more expensive. But you can do that yourself and come in legally. For all these citizens that are wanting to stick up for the illegal immigrants, we have laws in the United States, just like any other freaking country. And you need to look up the immigration laws. Maybe I'll go over some of that a little bit later. But if you don't agree with them, take your ass across the border. Take it down into Mexico, South America, Southeast Asia. Go in, I got a suggestion. Go in illegally and find out what happens to your ass. Because you're not going to be protesting in any streets. You're going to have your freaking ass in a jail cell ready for deportation. That's because they have laws against that. Same as United States. And if you try it there, they will deport you. Go look it up if you don't believe me. Just look it up, or if you want to give it a try, go ahead and give it a try. I would suggest that you don't do that. You won't like the outcome. But this is the problem in the United States. They're not liking the outcome. And the outcome is perfectly legal. Matter of fact, you could actually, according to the U.S. Code, for harboring an illegal immigrant, there is some stiff penalties for it. They just haven't been enforced. And I think a lot of these people are going to find out the hard way, unfortunately. But anyway, let's get back into this.
that you think that my taxpayer money that I work so hard for, that my salary gets cut, we get a tax cut from our salary. You think I think that money should go to people who cheated the system and are here illegally being a criminal? You think I should pay for their healthcare? Are you out of your freaking mind? Are you good? Like, in the freaking head? Like, sorry.
No, they're not. And the other thing is that's the whole point with the Trump administration. All these people that were let in underneath Biden coming across the border, they were let in illegally. They are illegal immigrants. So, yeah, it's stupidity. You know, the people that's been there for years and years, like I said, just pull your ass up, take it across the border, and see what happens to you as you enter into another foreign country illegally. And maybe you'll have a different perspective on that. So let's get into this again.
Like, this is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. And now the entire party is on a strike, refusing to sign the government funding thing and passing that, because that's why the furlough is in place, because they're
Democrat.
like, we actually want the trillions of dollars to pay for people who are...
Yeah, and I noticed they was proud to take that and say that they shut down the government so that they could get their $1.5 trillion. And now, today I noticed, or last day or two, they started changing their tunes, and now they're trying to say that Trump shut down the government. So they admitted to shutting down the government through Schumer. And now that people's not liking it, they're trying to sit there and say, oh, Trump shut down the government. Yeah, right. Get your head out of your ass. Everybody can see it. That's so stupid. Retarded.
Are not eligible for disability, who are not elders and who are not American citizens, but they still deserve health care, and the Americans need to pay for it.
Take a look at your local codes and your taxes.
You must
also
be
while you're
actually
at all
mentally
this.
ill. You have to be. This is so ridiculous to me. My money goes 10% to God, because praise God for giving me the money. Goes to my country, who actually works so hard to defend me, keep us safe. And then my family and I, because it's mine. It goes nowhere else. I'll be damned if I have to pay for somebody who's not an American their freaking health insurance. Also, if you think that this should be a thing, I'm convinced you don't have a salary, you don't have a real job, and you don't pay enough taxes. You don't know anything about the tax system. If you do have a salary and you do get a salary cut, then I want you to start practicing what you preach and putting your money where your mouth is. So start donating to charities that advocate for giving free healthcare, who advocate for, people starving on the streets, because that's what you care about. It goes hand in hand. I want you to start signing up for volunteer and charity events and practice what you preach, because every time I go to a town volunteer charity event, I don't see a single conservative there. I don't see a single liberal there. They're all conservatives. They're all Republicans. Why is that? You guys love to sit in your bed and post about Gaza and whatever, but when it comes time to actually do something, when it comes time to practice what you preach, it's silent. I don't see a single amount of movement from the left when it comes time to actually do something about anything. You just love to sit there and talk. You guys love to go to these protests about Gaza, like being loud and clank like your pots and pans and whatever you guys do, and then like walking your pride parade and like walk, like free Gaza, free Palestine, I want to be a man, I want to be a woman, whatever. And then when it comes time to walk to somebody who needs help, walk to somebody who needs food, it's like, oh, my money's my money all of a sudden. Why do you just start caring about homelessness in America, starvation in America, before you actually start addressing it in other countries? I'm not saying that the Republicans don't care. We care. Unfortunately, our country comes first.
Another big issue, though, and that's we can save that for another time, is how government gets involved in all this shit. And it causes your prices to go up. Just take a look at the healthcare. Healthcare was a little bit high before Obama came in and got his so-called Obamacare. But take a look at the people that pushed it. It was the insurance companies. The insurance companies pushed it, and the hospitals pushed it. there was already laws in place that the hospitals could not deny service. They get tax funding, they get tax dollars to build their new wings with and everything. So yes, a portion of tax dollars does already go to the hospitals. That's why they call it public hospital. But then they wanted to try to force everybody to have insurance. Well, by forcing everybody to have insurance, they could charge whatever they wanted. And if they really wanted to fix it, they could have put a cap on it. They're giving out the tax money. They could simply put they could put a cap on the tax money. They could say, okay, if we're going to give you this much to build a new wing to the hospital, then you can only charge so much per bed. But that's not what they do. They instead raise their price because now the government's paying for it. They know they can get away with charging more. Therefore, it causes your insurance premiums to go up because you are also forced to have coverage. Even if it's through the government pays for that coverage. The hospital's in a win-win situation. So it always causes your price to go up. And if you look at the hospitals, look at how the doctors, they all started going to the hospitals because it was the hospitals as a corporation that put the doctors, the small doctor offices, out of business, and the court systems allowing some of these stupid lawsuits to go through. Where I'm not saying all of them. If a doctor actually really screwed up, yes, but most of the time they would allow stupid shit to go through on a lawsuit putting these doctors out of business, and then they moved into the hospital where the hospital would try to protect them a little bit more, but it's more incorporated. It's just asinine. Tell you what, you may not like the medical coverage in the second world. They're not all that great, but they still have medical coverage. So if you go into Mexico or something, you'll still have a lot of these small town doctors all over the place, and they're even open on Sundays. Their offices. Dental's the same way. So you can actually go into these smaller ones at a reduced cost. Ask yourself that. You're paying more because the corporations lobby Congress to put in a lot of red tape, causing your prices to go up, and they make more. Anyway, we'll save that for another day.
America comes first before we start helping other countries.
That backlog is cleared before you have opportunities for citizenship. That is a reasonable approach, and one that will ultimately address the biggest problem for American workers, and that is the depressive effect of undocumented workers who aren't right now subject to oftentimes minimum wage laws or worker safety laws or all the other things that make them cheaper for employers. If they're out of the shadows, then we can make sure those laws are enforced and those cost advantages for hiring undocumented workers go away.
You're an Asian. Why do you support deportation? No, stupid. I am an American who did it the right way. What is the right way? Well, time, dedication, money, thousands of hours without missing a single appointment. That is how me and my 3 older sisters got to America. So it's a slap on the face that I've been getting attacked because simply my eyes are chinky according to them. My skin is brown and I have a heavy accent. I don't give a shit. I'm sick and tired, very, very tired, up to here with bullshit agenda that just say, oh, because I support deportation, therefore I'm a bad person. No, I support deportation because United States of America is the only country that allowed this bullshit to happen. Go to Japan, go to Russia.
Yeah, and they started that shit in Japan. I should cover that one. Luckily, they got the first female prime minister. And she's taken the approach of Trump. Luckily, they're doing it now before they're flooded with illegal immigrants and refugees. But they already see what's going on in Europe and France and all that. So they're going to try to catch it now before it gets too bad. And they need to. you do have national borders. Another thing with all them so-called protesters, if you notice, they're never flying the American flag. They have the right to do that. But I noticed that all over the place with these so-called Antifas in France, over in England, over in the States, or they never fly the country flag. It's always a Palestinian flag. It's always some other flag, an Antifa flag. So they're always flying those flags without flying the country flag, and they're amassing these protests. They're paying for the flags and sending them out there with those flags. So think about that if you're on that side. Why are you not carrying your own nation's flag? I mean the nation that you're actually living in. I mean, think about me going to Mexico and start to protest the government, and I'm carrying the American flag, not the Mexican flag. But that's what they're doing in the States. That's kind of what they're doing in France. They're doing it all over the place. One, that wouldn't happen to begin with, because once again, take your ass to a second world country and find out what would happen. Why don't you go in, not just illegally, you can even go in legally. Go into a second world country legally and start a protest. Be a member of that protest group. Go out in the streets and start protesting and carrying your American flag, carrying whichever flag that's from your country within that country's bounds. You will be arrested and deported, because most second world countries also have this in place, that if you are a visitor, which you are not allowed to be politically activated within that country. They will get rid of your ass. You're not allowed to go out and protest the government. You're not allowed to go out and protest anything. You are invited into the country not to stir up shit. And if you start stirring up shit, out you go.
Go to China, go to Africa, and see if they let you walk in and do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah,
Get out of here with
exactly.
that.
The left is that every single time I post something about being a black conservative, they always want to go, oh, well, they're never going to accept you. You're never going to be. The only thing that pisses me off about the left is that every single time I post something about being a black conservative, they always want to go, oh, well, they're never going to accept you. You're never going to be one of them. They're never going to do anything for you. Okay, cool. I don't want to be one of them, whatever that means. They don't need to do anything for me. Everything that I've ever achieved or received is because of me and my work ethic alone. Every single job I've had, promotion I've had, school I've gotten into.
It's about being yourself. And a lot of people are seeing that. The left has got this Borg from Star Trek. They do. It's like a Borg mentality. They all think the same thing. They all get on the same page. It's scripted. So, yeah.
Grade that I've received is because of me and me alone. Not because of my skin color, but because of my merit. While you sit over there and play the oppression game and wait for another government handout, I'm out here grinding and working and getting the things that I'm setting out to receive. And it has nothing to do with my skin color, but everything to do with the content of my character.
Okay, so I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but it needs to be said. And please know that I am coming from a place of love, because I know that your efforts come from a good place. But white liberals, you are not saving the black community. You are holding us back. It's not allyship, it's enabling. You excuse destructive choices, you lower the bar, you hand out sympathy instead of standards, and you call that progress.
I want to add that it's not just white liberals, it is liberals in general.
Somebody else.
I just want to add that. White, black, Asian, Hispanic,
Yeah.
they're all,
I agree with that. Let's
you know,
continue.
have this victimhood.
Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. We're not the only group with a painful past. Jewish people survived genocide and rebuilt. Asian immigrants came here with nothing and built thriving businesses and schools. We don't hand them safe spaces. We don't rewrite laws to excuse their failures. We don't glorify victimhood for anyone else. So why is that standard different for us? We built an entire system around the lie that Black people can't compete, and we call it justice. DEI, affirmative action, safe spaces, watered down schools, and even lighter sentences for crime. That's not empowerment, that's soft bigotry dressed up as compassion, and it's all causing more harm than good to the Black community. It whispers you're too
It's not just to the Black community that it's causing harm to, it's causing harm to every community. So, yes, so it's based on your merits, and there's nothing holding you back. There is absolutely nothing holding you back. Think of something that you want to do it, and try to do it as well as you can do. And hopefully you'll succeed. Most people will succeed. There will always be some that don't succeed. But if you fail, try and try again. Eventually, you're liable to make it.
too weak, too damaged, too broken to do this on your own, and we've accepted that lie for far too long. We don't need your pity. We don't need you to lower the bar. We need to be held to the same standard as everyone else. Because true empowerment doesn't come from being coddled, it comes from being called higher. Charlie Kirk said this over and over again. He asked Black America to stop fixating so much on our race and our difficult history. He encouraged everyone from every background and walk of life to make their past a reference, not their residence. And sadly, his honesty caused him to be labeled a racist, despite the fact that he was simply telling us the hard truth. So here's my challenge for white liberals. Stop lowering the bar for us. Stop designing programs that assume that we can't win without a handicap. If you truly believe in Black excellence, then treat us like the powerful, capable, brilliant people that we are. Stand with us, not over us.
That's what they
Walk
mean
beside
by-
us, not ahead of us. And Black people, if you're still here, slavery happened, oppression exists, but our history is also full of resilience and brilliance. Research Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington and Madam C.J. Walker. We've been free for 150 years, but somehow we feel justified in marinating in our victims.
And on the slavery issue, you can also look at how many Blacks actually owned other Blacks as slaves. You can actually even look at how many whites were enslaved. That just kind of switches the Black ones from Africa. That was kind of the last leg of the slavery. But before that, it was the Irish. Before the Irish, it was, well, actually it wasn't. Before that, I would have to say it was the Asians. And then before that, it was the Irish. And so the list goes on. It goes all the way back before Christ's time. So that has always existed. And even today, you have sort of a slave trade going on. It's underground, and you all know what it's called. It's called human trafficking. It's the same damn thing. No, they don't have these people out working the fields or any of that anymore. They might in some places, but you know what that is all about. And that's typically the same thing. That's happening to everybody. That is happening to mainly young people. But it's happening to male, it's happening to female, and it's happening mainly to the younger generation. So yes, they do need to get a handle on that, and hopefully they will address that.
While holding a $1,000 iPhone, rocking $200 shoes, and having nothing and no one standing in our way but ourselves. Pick up your mat.
A couple of weeks ago, and I would just like to apologize anyone who saw any post, comment, repost of mine that had any sort of leftist ideology and propaganda.
She's woke up.
I was so wrong. I can't even begin to explain how it feels to realize that you've been fed propaganda for years. For 32 years of my life, I have been an independent but left-leaning and Democratic voter. I'm so sorry. I fell right into the propagandist's radical leftist craziness. Please understand that the woke mind virus is very real. It's very real, and it is embarrassing as hell coming out of something like that. However, I'd like to say that I am so grateful to every Republican and conservative that has been so kind to me and welcoming and forgiving. I'd also like to apologize to the autism parent community. I took part in the propaganda about eugenics. I made several cringy videos.
Yeah, eugenics is another one. Maybe we'll cover that one at some point in the future also. Margaret Sanger, I believe. Yeah, so those that aren't familiar with it, you might want to go look that up. And unfortunately, you'll also see that eugenics was tied with the Democrat Party. Hell, you even had Nazis and socialism built into the Democrat Party back in the 20s and into the 30s. And that had lasted all the way up to the Kennedy era, and it was still even in the Kennedy era. Johnson had took over from Kennedy, and you can just take a look at some of his famous quotes, which you all know. But, yeah.
About eugenics in regards to what RFK was doing and what Trump was doing. And I was so wrong. Not only was I wrong, but it is absolutely inappropriate for me to have judged any of you for wanting a cure to autism or just information about autism. I myself have a profoundly autistic, soon-to-be 7-year-old. After doing my research, I understand, and I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am. I've started to delete comments that I've left on some of your videos from, the months prior. There's just so many. My entire TikTok has been, I was a leftist the entire time. And so I don't know that I will be able to delete every single mistake that I have made. However, please understand that I am very sorry. I understand that I was wrong, and I no longer
Sometimes that will live
align
with
with
you
any
for
of
life.
that.
Hopefully it doesn't.
Realize that this is going to cause me to lose a lot of followers. That's okay. I don't have that many to begin with. I've already lost my best friend over this, so you really can't hurt me. If you find yourself trying to criticize me or leaving hate comments, that's...
If you lose a friend over this, they're not much of a friend to begin with. Your friend should be open to your ideals and not just take your word for it. They should be based in fact and basically come to just being able to talk about it. So if you're not able to talk about it, then no, they're not a true friend. So forget them. Move on. You'll find others, and you'll find a better life for yourself. And that's in general.
Fine, I understand. I was like you. I did those things too. Also like to apologize to this administration for being skeptical and for spreading misinformation and propaganda. Leftist propaganda. I understand now, and I am in full support.
More, I've heard it was upwards of 270 either agents or confidential informants for the federal government that was a part of the melee.
The report says most of the informants engaged in illegal activity during the chaos. The Justice Department says only 3 of its 26 informants present had been instructed to observe potential domestic terrorist suspects on the day of the riot. The rest of the 23 appeared to have gone to the Capitol on their own accord. Upon hearing news of the report, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted the following on X, quote, "For those keeping score at home, this was labeled a dangerous conspiracy theory months ago," end quote. Didn't hear anything about that for the election. Didn't hear anything about that when the quote-unquote insurrection was broached by Vice President Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. The belief that Donald Trump was a danger to democracy and using this as a profound, illuminating bullet point to make that case. And now here we are yet again finding even more evidence.
It was more than
to Donald Trump's claims when he articulated that
it's 280.
Process is rigged. My big issue is that I'm really, really sick and tired of every time I turn around finding something else that the Democrats have lied about or downplayed or misrepresented along the way. I mean, I see Republicans like Megyn Kelly or Officer Tatum or Candace Owens or, the Sean Hannitys of the world. You know what I'm getting tired of? To the Democratic Party. You know what I'm getting really pissed off about? I'm getting really ticked off at every time they open their mouth about something pertaining to y'all, they seem right to make the case that the right had a monopoly on insidious, evil tendencies, corrupt tendencies,
now you know where it's
duplicitous,
coming from.
hypocritical, untruthful tendencies. And every time they made those accusations, we turn around and find out that at least some of them are guilty of the same shit. I don't know about y'all, but I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of all of it. They've actually made Donald Trump look like he was right instead.
Okay. So, yeah. Actually, I started seeing this probably 10, 15 years ago. Whenever they would, I think I even seen it during Obama, and mainly what I started seeing was how it's structured at the local level. Whenever you start looking at your taxes, how you're taxed, your city tax, a lot of times you'll go down, just look at your receipts, and a lot of times you'll find out that you're taxed 3 or 4 times for the same damn thing. Small township that we had come from. I noticed that 3 or 4, more than 3 or 4 years ago, like I said, about 10, 12 years ago. You look at the receipt, used to be like they would have a state tax, they would have a local tax, which meant your county, and then they would have a city tax. But then they would start adding it up. I noticed underneath the city tax, there was a municipal tax underneath that, and I was like, what the hell? City and municipal is the same damn thing. That's, you're being taxed twice for the same damn thing. And now somebody showed me a receipt, and it's like the water service. They got the tax for the water service, but then they got a fee for the water service on top of the tax. So you're paying a fee for pipe that's been there for 50 years. They get government grants a lot of times from the federal and state to do what they're supposed to do with the community on that. But then they turn around and they put a fee on the water, and not only the water, but there was the fee for the sewer, which was the same amount. So you'd have I'll give you an example, it's $11 water fee just to have the fee there and present for what? For a line that was already laid 50 years ago and you hadn't done diddly shit to it. And then same thing with the sewer. To flush your turd, $11 fee. Think about that. So you really need to start going in out on your local governments also, because they are abusing the money. And same thing as the federal level. And you think it's bad on the local level, it's really bad on the federal level. So think of how many dollars are being wasted on a federal level compared to the local level. And the same shit's going on. Anyway, you heard my rant. That was my commentary on this. So I'm going to go ahead and do some others, I believe. Next up, I keep changing stuff because there's so much information that keeps coming out on a daily basis. You have Letitia James. She was indicted. You had Comey that was indicted. You have Chuck Schumer shutting down the government because he can't get his $1.5 trillion for the Democrats, so they can basically just put their fingers in the cookie jar, and they're throwing a fit about it. So, and there'll be more. There'll be more. You take a look at the stuff that's going on right now with Trump, and I should save this for the next video, but there's some stuff coming down the pipe, and I don't think that they really have a clue of what's coming down the pipe. And all they'd have to do is look at the U.S. code. Look at your... look at what it means whenever you're designated a international terrorist group, and that you're part of it, which we're referring to Antifa. And then look at the immigration code. There's some sticklers there. For harboring an illegal immigrant, it can be 4 to 5 years in prison, I believe. Do you know that if that illegal immigrant commits a murder while you're harboring the illegal immigrant, you can actually get the death penalty? That's in the USC. That is actually in the code. And these people are so ignorant that they just follow blindly without actually looking it up. The Insurrection Act. Trump's already labeled them as a domestic terrorist to start with. Now he's upgrading them to international terrorists because of the stuff that's going on in Chicago and Portland. What do you think he's threw these words out, and he's throwing them out because he means it. He's giving you hints on what he's planning to do, and you're too blind to see it. So those people that are getting caught up in all this, I do kind of feel bad. If you want to protest, but you protest the right way, peacefully. You peacefully assemble. You peacefully vote. You don't try to overthrow, and yes, I heard some people now on the left trying to claim that Second Amendment there is for violent overthrow of the government. Technically, it is for a tyrannical government, but you have other options that you're supposed to do first, which you have jumped the gun. You didn't even go to peaceful protest. You went to automatically rioting. You just went to rioting. You didn't go to peaceful protest. And the president does have the right to send in troops, call up the National Guard, even against the state's wills. That is not precedent. That's been done, like I said before, since George Washington with the Whiskey Rebellion on the tax. And then you had Johnson do it. You had Lincoln do it before the Civil War. So it's really, like I said, pay attention to what he's saying, because after the International Terrorist Organization, him classifying Antifa of that, and now Chicago and them, Portland not allowing the cops to actually even go out to protect areas that are around ICE, that can lead to the Insurrection Act being activated. And underneath the Insurrection Act, he will have full authority to send in the military. And all you guys out there protesting think that you're going to be able to, just go to a judge or anything like that and they'll release you and everything else. No, once the Insurrection Act's called and he sends in the military and he actually arrests you through that, you're going to be underneath the military rules of engagement, not the Constitution. Yes, the Constitution will still apply, but if you're listed as an enemy combatant, that does not apply to you. So think about that and think seriously about it, because there are serious consequences. the other thing that I was thinking about was he hasn't mentioned it yet, but what happens if he invokes the Espionage Act on top of that for a lot of these people that are funding Antifa? Antifa has been getting funding from George Soros and some of these other groups, and they are a foreign entity. So that's how he's able to list Antifa, because Antifa is also operating in Europe and France. He is able to list them as a international terrorist organization. But now you have funding coming from these other people, and the funding is going directly to try to overthrow a government. Hence your insurrection. And then also you would have espionage on top of that. So take a look at your history. I think it was 1919, someplace in there, where you had the guy that was throwing leaflets that not to join the army. Well, they nailed him on the Espionage Act for aiding and abetting the enemy by telling people not to join the army to go fight. I know that sounds stupid, and hopefully that would not be held up in the court today, but it was held up in the courts, the Supreme Court back then. And yeah, I think he spent the rest of his life in jail over that. So think about that. These are serious consequences for rioting, especially rioting underneath the banner of Antifa. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm going to get into some of this other stuff. I'll probably end up mentioning this stuff again. We do have some videos coming up I'd like to do. There's one on a person that's, I forgot her name. But anyway, she's a total loon from the looks of it. Worse than Kamala. And she's trying to run for the governor of California. So I do have some clips on that one. I want to go ahead and post and get your opinions on it too. So please leave your comments down below. Let me know your opinions. Let me know what you think. For those interested in travel, head over and check us out on Ready Set Travel. And if you're interested in just getting away from all this bull and want to get into some games, go over to Weeby Games, where I like to play games. Yes, I like to clear my head from all this also. But for those that wants just to hear commentary on the political viewpoints, and not just political viewpoints, but other stuff, other commentary on other items, which I'll get into later, you can come here and visit me here on Just Weeby. So, thanks, and we will see you on the next video.